of a system. And it's the same people who engineered that system are the same savages that are being savage to us. They call us savages so they can be savage to us. They call us cannibals so they can cannibalize us. They call us violent so they can be violent to us. We are the most peaceful people on the face of the earth to say what's been done to us. So it's like when the same people are saying that it is anti-Semitic for speaking about what they are doing, that's not anti-Semitic, that's just truth. Now,
Right.
if you are going to create a whole system, just like the CIA created the word or the term conspiracy theory or conspiracy theorist to deflect from what they're doing, the Jews have created, or the Jew-like, not actual Jews, have created a system to deflect from what they're actually doing. If they were so brothers and sisters and pro-black, then why are they sterilizing women in Ethiopian women in Israel right now? Why are they putting the Sudanese and the Eritrean women that go into Israel, men and women, into the biggest open air concentration camp in the world that's run by Group 4 Securicor? Why is it that I'm getting consistent videos from Ethiopian Jews in Israel of police brutalizing them? I'm not getting the same um, from Israelis being brutalized by their police. Why is it that the police force in North America is trained by the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force? And why is it that the police in North America are consistently going over to the apartheid Palestine to get trained, and then they're going back to the USA and then they're oppressing black people? Tell me that if they're our brothers and sisters. Why are they training the US police to brutalize us in black America? Why? Clearly, they're not our brothers and sisters. So if we are highlighting what they're doing and then we're called anti-Semitic, I don't care what they think. Arsenio Hall had the most amazing, progressive, black talk show on TV.
Oh, that was,
It was fire, right?
yes.
Right. After he brought Farrakhan on, his show was cancelled. Because Farrakhan was speaking about, this is the thing, is that you want to know who's trying to control you? Look at who you can't criticize. Tell me about, oh, it's anti-Semitic. Now you got these panderers, these black panderers coming out and shucking and jiving and buck dancing for Jews so that they can get likes. They're like the new Candice Owens. They can go and suck as well. I want to hear all that shit. It's like, this is the reason why people like myself, who's not controlled and not controllable, don't get invited to go and talk on these shows, or to go and talk on news TV. Because if I ever go and talk on news TV, I won't swear. I'll speak very calmly in a way that exposes a lot of truth as to the current situation. Let's be clear. Right now, if you go on Google Maps, there's no such thing as Palestine on Google Maps. Go on Google Maps and check it out. They annexed Palestine from Google Maps. Now it's just Israel. Meanwhile, they have a blockade. Meanwhile, Gaza is the most populated place on earth is Gaza, because they've got them trapped by the sea. Israel is controlling the food that they get. They ration them. They're controlling the electricity. They switch off the electricity regularly. Why is it that a Canadian man or woman has more freedom to go to Palestine than a Palestinian has to leave Israel? Palestinians are trapped in that place. They can't get out of that place. They're watched, they're monitored. Whereas if you are a Canadian Jew, you can go to Israel and claim your birthright. What birthright? You're talking about 2,000, 3,000 years ago. There was no pale-skinned people in them countries there, them time there. You know how hot it is in them rate, one of the highest rates until very recently. Now they're all going vegan. They've got one of the highest rates of skin cancer in the world. It's not a coincidence that Australians, South Africans, and Israelis have the highest rates of skin cancer in the world, because they're living where they can't live because they're allergic to the sun. Coming out here and talking shit about, it's our birthright. What they're talking about is they're talking about the Beta Israel. They're talking about the Ethiopian early adopters of Judaism and some of the first Jews on earth. That's what they're talking about. Everybody else is not Jewish. Sorry, so everybody else is not Jew, they're Jewish. That means Jew like, Spanish, English. That means like. It doesn't mean actual. So it's like when I hear people them say, there's no such thing as English. There's the Anglos and the Saxons, right? There's no such thing as English. It's like the first people in England were actually black people, Phoenicians that were there mining for tin like 3,000 years ago. Because these people were stuck behind the ice wall and they was in the Caucasus Mountains. And we know that. And they hate that. Caucasian, they coined the term Caucasian. No African said Caucasian. You know, Caucasus Mountain, Asian people. I
This is
personally, I
why
don't
I
care.
thought that
Personally, I don't
Buchanan
care.
was speaking the truth. He didn't say anything that was far-fetched. The caves were there. Who lives in caves? Who eat raw meat? I mean, who needed shower lessons from the Moors? I mean,
Who
it
has
sounds
Neanderthal
true.
DNA?
Sounds like truth
Who
to me. But
who has Neanderthal DNA?
and I
There's
don't
three. There's three.
pause.
Oh,
Yeah, I think
there's
it.
three. There's three there's three um, ethnic divisions from Jews. There's the Beta Israel, who are Ethiopian Jews. Also, Bilal, which is who we read about in the Quran, was actually an Ethiopian man, an Abyssinian man, who was stolen from Ethiopia and took to Mecca. And he was the first person to do the call to prayer. In fact, if you look at Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, actually, none of those religions involved pale-skinned people. None of them in its origin. There was no pale-skinned people there. There was no Caesar Borgia, white images of Jesus. There was none of that. You go to Ethiopia right now, you're going to see black images of Jesus. Though around the 12th century, they were selling their gold to the Knights Templar, and the Knights Templar then helped them to build loads of churches, and then that's why you've got all these images of white Jesus there. But there's the Beta Israel, who were Abyssinians, Ethiopians, Jews, actual Jews. Then there's the Sephardic Jews, who were in Spain, and the Sephardic Jews, or the Sephardi, were kicked out of Spain and Portugal just before the Inquisition. So when there was the war between the Europeans and the Moors, that's when they got kicked out of that area, and they were black Jews and pale skin Caucasian Jewish people, right? Or maybe say olive skin, they like the Italians, them, the Mediterranean cultures,
Right.
right? And then you have the Ashkenazi Jews, and the Ashkenazi Jews are Russian, Polish, French, German, and they were the ones that were fleeing World War II Germany, and they're the ones after 1948 and the Balfour Declaration. They were the ones that were given Palestine by Britain, and that was part of what's called the Marshall Plan, which is a reconstruction plan where the British Empire handed over its empire to the USA, and billionaires who funded both sides of the war in the USA actually, as part of the Marshall Plan, wanted to have I say a stronghold in the Middle East. And at the time, Britain owned Sudan. They also owned, that's what the war with France was about. They owned Sudan, they owned Egypt, they owned Palestine, they owned Gambia, they owned Ghana, lots of countries in
Mm-hmm.
Africa, right?
Mm-hmm.
And after the Balfour Declaration, they basically said that all of the Jews, or should I say all of the Jewish that were fleeing Europe could go down there and live there. And then if you look at 1976 and the war between the Palestinians and the Israelis or the Jewish, it was just like the Tulsa, Oklahoma race riots. And now this country against went and then you follow that shit from them. They can't say nothing to the people. They always go in, or they do know, sorry, but they don't really know how to deal with original Hebrew Israelites. That's why they're there telling us about curly hair and shit. And they do their little two locks there and they're curling their own damn hair. My hair grow like this. Your hair will just lock up naturally. They're trying to beg locks. And don't tell me no nothing because oh, you know, you're anti. It's when people who are homosexual, I'm supposed to be a advocate for to speak about the atrocities that are being committed against your people. Because if you do that, then now all of a sudden you're anti-Semitic. But it was Jews that also owned slaves. Like that, I've got posters of slave auctions in New York from 1829 where it's Jewish people selling African people. I didn't do that. So don't talk about, oh, you know, the banking system is, you know, it's not all of us, it's just some of the rich ones. It's like you'll benefit from it. We can't get no loans. You're in our hood selling us stuff. We're not in your hoods. You're not economically supporting us. Yes, you were oppressed by European people. That's not my problem. Yes, you were the niggers of North America, but so were the Italians and so were the Irish. That's not my problem. We didn't do that. We suffer the most. So when we speak, you should shut up and listen.
Well, Shaka, anytime, you know I like to talk. And when I'm here with my Insta cousins, I'm always talking about. I like when you come on so I could take a break. I like to take a break and just listen to hear what you have to say. So where do you think Nick Cannon goes from here on? Where is
Hmm.
he going from this point now that he has apologized? Now what?
I don't know. He needs to call and talk to me. I met him last year. He has my number. I message him. He's ignoring me. He needs to call and talk to. Because the thing is like, if you really believe in your people, then when you are speaking for your people and you are righteous in speaking for your people, you're not apologizing to no backside nobody.
None. You're
You don't play
unapologetic with
revolution. How is it you're all one hand black power and on the other hand black apology? Black power and black apology don't go in the same sentence, you know.
thank you.
So I don't understand how, say, those two things go together. He obviously just wants to make sure his bag is secured at the end of the day. Diddy came out and said, yo, you can come and Revolt TV. So I was like, yeah, man, go on Revolt TV, because the thing is the people that he's interviewing, he has his Cannons class, and also the Wild and Out, people would go and watch it on Revolt TV.
Okay. The black community would support him.
We started to support him. Now he's all pandering to Jewish people.
Well, again, this what goes back to the conversation we had the other day about individualism versus collectivism and people not really thinking about the broader picture on just like a macro scale, but more so focused on self. And I don't
That's
think
the
he realized what he did when he apologized.
right. That's like, oh, sorry, massa. They got their foot on his neck. They got their foot on his neck, and oh, sorry, massa. I is not know what I do, massa. Yo, anybody try and tell me to apologize for telling the truth, they can go suck. And when I see that type of behavior, it makes me think, you know, that you're not really about it. What you're about is you're about whatever is popular. You're about clout. And when I saw the Sebi documentary, I was like, yeah, man, that's a good thing. Like, I love that brother there. It's not even something new.
My
They
dear
just wanted to
Garvey would
complain.
never.
They shut his show down. He's probably thinking about all the people who he had employed on that show and how he's going to pay them and
Yeah.
his family and all these type of things. But at the end of the day, you're rich. You're a multi-millionaire. You don't have to worry about nothing. What about the people them in the ghetto? It's like sometimes I really feel like I wish I could just drag these people down to Congo and say, look, this is how people are living. Stop complaining.
Like I told someone earlier, like our ancestors sacrificed their entire livelihood. They weren't celebrities, they weren't millionaires. They sacrificed their physical presence, existence. You know what I mean? They were ready to be freaking lynched for this shit. And when I hear people say, "Oh, you know, we are not our ancestors," I'm like, "You really aren't your ancestors. Our ancestors were about that life." As much as I'm pro-black and I could be aggressive, I'm still not about that life as much as my ancestors.
I'm
You know
about
what I
that life.
mean? I want to say that I am, but until I'm put in a situation that where I'm tested, I don't know.
I'm about
What
that
my
life.
ancestors went
Shit.
through, they were ready to be lynched. If somebody say, you know what, Shaka, me gonna go lynch you right now. We are gonna say like, okay, you
I'm
gonna
going to
do
say
it?
I'll see you in the next life.
You
Fucker.
see, well, I need your heart. Me not reach there yet. I want to say that I am, that the bad girl side of me says that, but I'm like, yo, they
You know
were
what,
ready to
though?
be savage.
My thing was slightly different
Bad.
because when I was younger, I went to the military, and I was in Iraq at war when I was 19. So I was sitting there thinking, yo, I remember when I first signed up to the army, my mom sat bawled tears, and I said, why are you bawling tears for? She said, I call you Shaka from Shaka.